Hello there everyone, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome back to the Football Manager 2021 beta save with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and today it is the first episode of the new season, Season 2, and if you haven't watched the episodes for a little while, this is the perfect time to jump back into the save at the start of the second season. Now just to remind you, we qualified for the Europa League last year through the league. We finished in 6th in the end, if you can't remember what happened at the end of the year. That is the full league table from last year. We were ran very, very close by Fulham, who in the end qualified for the Europa Conference League. And due to our superior goal difference and the fact we got one more draw, you know, maybe that draw against Sheffield United got us European football officially, because the Europa Conference League, dare I say, is a bit of a Mickey Mouse Cup, really. You know, it's okay, but it's only worth a third of the prize money that the Europa League is worth. So it wasn't worth it for us, and I'm chuffed we're in the Europa League. It's going to be interesting this year. There are a few good clubs. Tottenham, Everton, Leicester and Leeds are a good side. All of those clubs without European football. I'm certainly interested to see how Fulham cope with some European football. In fact, have a quick look at who they've signed. They've spent £28.5 million. No massive big money signings there. No, again, nobody massive. So, interesting. I don't know how they're going to cope in Europe, but one thing I suppose you're all interested in is to see who we've signed this summer. We do play West Ham United at the London Stadium in our opening match today. David Moyes was sacked at the end of last year, so we're playing against Alberto Iglesias. Hopefully not... is it Enrique Iglesias, who was, well, still is. I think he's a Spanish singer. Might be Portuguese. I'll talk about Portuguese people in a minute and my gripes with them. But let's talk about the transfers. And as you can see, not much has happened. But fear not. But just because we've only signed 3 players this season doesn't mean that we didn't sign anyone beforehand. Of course, the 21-22 season started in the start of July. So we did make one move before July, and you might be surprised that I was looking to make some active moves in the transfer market, but a few things stopped us, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, I think we've made a really good sign here. Southampton got relegated last year, and we have signed one of their best players, James Ward-Prowse, in the midfield. He's a good midfielder, more of a defensive midfielder, no question about that, but can play either as a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder, and if we're absolutely desperate, he can play as an attacking midfielder. You can see he's an important player in his prime years. We picked him up for £19 million, £95,000 a week wages, so not the best in the world. But considering we've lost Roman Saiss, of course we lost him, and we've also gone and sold one of our other midfielders. You might disagree with this, but Leander Dendoncker has gone out to Atalanta with a £20 million deal, but that should rise to £32 million. So we got a good amount of wages off our books. Personally, I think Ward-Prowse is a better player than Dendoncker. So, in effect, for a bit of a swap deal, I think we've done quite well there. Nobody going out particularly at the end of last year, but going into the new season, obviously Marcel left the club. That was something that was agreed back in January on a loan to buy deal. Patrick Crotone, we had absolutely nothing to do with this. We couldn't do anything about it. In fact, I'd love to have kept him at the club as a squad player. Looks like a cracking player, but that was out of our hands when we joined the club. He was on a loan to buy to Fiorentina, and he's left the club for £13 million. A disappointing loss for Wolves. Only played 12 games for the club, but not a lot we could do about it because that was something that was already negotiated. And then obviously Dendoncker's gone to Atalanta, as we've discussed earlier. And we've sent quite a few players out on loan, but it's been a quiet summer because the club, they blocked us signing anyone who wasn't Portuguese. And that was really, really infuriating. You could say it was realistic, but it was painful. It really was. It was just painful because there are a lot of players I wanted to sign. The main one, Ryan Ait-Nouri, was fantastic at left-back for us last year on loan, and we could have signed him for $20 million, which at the age of 19 would have been a steal. The club poo-pooed that because he wasn't Portuguese, and I was like, come on! Could be one of the best players for the club, and just because he's Portuguese, we can't get him. And this element of club culture, this objective, has really screwed us over this transfer window. So, personally, you know, I've looked on the market. There is nobody that's Portuguese and good enough to come to the club. There really wasn't. And I'm not the type of manager, if you've watched my Football Manager content before, I'm not the type of manager to go and waste money, spend 20, 30 million for the sake of it. So that's all we've done. We've signed James Ward-Prowse and that's it. The squad has remained pretty much the same. But, you know, I'm quite happy with that because there are a lot of youngsters that have come up this year. You know, from the under-23s, players that were out on loan last year, starting with the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White. And he's one of the players who've really upset him because he wanted a new contract. Morgan Gibbs-White we've upset. We've upset Bruno Jordão, Shabani, Vinagre. We've upset Danny Pacheco, although he's out with an injury at the moment. We've upset quite a few players because they wanted new contracts. We tried to go for it, and Morgan Gibbs-White wanted 60k a week. I'm not having that. I'm not having that when he's on 15k a week at the moment. Hasn't really played for Wolves. I'm not having him on 60k a week. It's just never going to happen. So he'll stay at the club for the time being. He's one of the players. He was out on loan at Swansea last year, had a decent season in the Championship, and he's going to be a breakthrough prospect for us. He seems to think he's coming into the first team to play as a first team player. Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. He's not first choice for us. Again, Bruno Jordão. He seems to be better, actually, than Morgan Gibbs-White. Again, he's been at a Portuguese club, FC Famalang Ding Dong, basically. That's how I'm going to pronounce it, because I can't be bothered with all this nonsense. But he went there, played decently last year, and again, not brilliant, but decently. Ruben Vinagra's come back off loan. We're glad to have him, because obviously now we haven't got Ryan Aït-Nouri. We've got Johnny, who's come back from injury. He was out for the entirety of last year. I really want to use Ruben Vinagra, if possible, at the start of this season, because Johnny's going to be one we're going to have to bed back into the side. Rafa Mir being another player, as not at Rafa Mir. He was at Huesca in La Liga last year. Again, didn't do brilliantly, but again, another fringe player for us. And Leonardo Campana is going to be our second choice this year. He looks a solid player. He did really well in the friendlies. He's played 4 games for us in the friendlies, already scored 8 goals, so he can't be too bad at all. Played pretty well for that club, I'm presuming they must be a feeder club to us, this Famalicão. He scored 15 goals in the Portuguese league last year, so he really doesn't look like a bad player. And he's going to be second choice, Raul Jimenez up front. With Balotelli now being an emergency backup, he's not a player we're going to pick regularly. He's really third or fourth choice. I think that pretty much just sums up the summer, and it's been quite a quiet one. We start off the league with a game against West Ham, and then a home game against Chelsea. We'll show both of those today. Going to be a tough one. You can see in the friendlies we did really well. 11-0 and 12-0 against these teams on our tour. I think of Korea, wasn't it? I think we went to somewhere like South Korea. No, was it? Yeah, it was Hong Kong. Apologies. But we murdered all these sides. We then went and beat Celtic by 3-0, which was quite nice to see, with Campana getting a hat-trick there. And we also beat Vitória de Guimarães by 5-0. So a strong start, and hopefully we can reflect that in the league. Of course, we are taking part in the Europa League this year. It's a few weeks until the group stages are announced. But I think probably after this episode, that's about where we're going to come back. Probably the Europa League first game is usually roughly about in that Crystal Palace Arsenal area. So I think after this we'll probably come back for the Arsenal and the Europa League game, whoever that's against. And for the first time, we'll probably skip over the Black Country Derby against the Baggies. Everyone else has played in their first game of the season. Leeds United have registered a win. Let's have a quick look at any shocks in the first weekend. Man United drew with Villa. Leeds have started pretty well with a 2-0 victory against the promoted Norwich. Nottingham Forest have come up. They were welcomed to life in the Premier League by Chelsea. They lost 3-0 there. The other club that had come up escapes me. It's Norwich, Forest and Bournemouth. Of course, Bournemouth are back in the league. None of those sides picking up a win on their first day. But Liverpool beating Newcastle 4-0. West Brom holding Arsenal to a draw. Burnley getting a result against Leicester. So the woes of Leicester clearly continue. In the Championship, though, Sheffield United top of the table after being relegated. Anybody not started particularly well? We've got Southampton 5 points off 3, not too bad. Who are the other club that went down? It's escaped me. There's 3 clubs that have gone down and I can't seem to find them. That was Brighton, of course, and they've started fairly well as well. So let's get into our first match of the season. We're playing with pretty much the same formation as last year. We've got Zarkic in goal, and there's a reason behind that I didn't actually mention to you. We might as well go into the medical centre. There are a few players out. We've got Danny Pacheco out for 4 to 7 weeks. So not 47 weeks, 4 to 7 weeks. So that's a bit of a bummer that he's going to be out for a while. But at least he's only a backup player. But Rui Patricio is out now between 9 days and 3 weeks. So he's going to miss the first few weeks of the season. Realistically, he's going to miss the first 3 games. Probably back in time for the Baggies. Yeah, I mean, he's doubtful for the Leeds match. So probably back in time for the Baggies. John Ruddy's gone. He's gone on a free because his contract ran out. So we're going to have to turn to Zarkic as our emergency backup, which I'm a little bit worried about, to be honest. But he's our best choice. We've got Luke Matthews, who looks like a cracking youngster. He came through the youth candidates last year from Nantwich. He's 16 years old, already nearly as good as Zarkic. And look at that potential ability. But at the age of 16, no, he can't play in the first team. That's just criminal. But he's our second choice, so he's on the bench. And if there's a disaster for Zarkic, he might well be called upon in these next few games. Really sorry, I'm not doing this intentionally. I've got a really itchy nose for some reason. I hope I've not got a bug coming on. But at the back, we've got Nelson Semedo, Connor Cody, and Willy Bolly misses out because he's not quite at full fitness. He's passed his fitness test, but he's only recommended to take on 45 minutes of action. So Max Kilman is the next strongest centre-back there. Johnny gets a start at left-back purely because Ruben Vinagre is unhappy. You'll see that the players are unhappy. None of them start today. I'm making a point to them that unless you book up your ideas and stop being miserable, that you won't get into the starting 11. In the midfield, we've put Ruben Neves and Jake Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse makes his first start for the club. I'm excited to see what he does. Traore, Maya and Podence start in the attacking midfield, and Jimenez starts up front. João Moutinho, bit of a strange one for me. I'd quite like to get rid of him personally. I know a lot of Wolves fans would completely disagree, but for me, he's 34 years of age. We've now brought in James Ward-Prowse. I mean, Ward-Prowse and Neves is going to be the two players that play midfield together. It stands to reason, doesn't it? So, you know, he's a player that I'm quite happy to get rid of. And of course, he runs out of contract at the end of the year. So, given that he's worth about 5 million, it's a pain. I really wanted him to go out and leave the club, but he's a team leader. That would affect things. And apparently if we offered him out to other clubs, there might have been a negative reaction. So I've held firm on that, given that a few of our other players are a little bit upset. But it all starts again, folks. We're 8 minutes into this match against West Ham. Bit of an unknown quantity, West Ham, aren't they? You don't know what to expect from them. And we're probably going to let a few more goals in than usual this year. Well, not this year, but in the first few matches, certainly, because we have got Zarkic in goal. And Federico Rica scores his first goal of the season for West Ham, a player I haven't heard of in the past. But it must be a new player, I'd guess, for West Ham, probably. But a good finish from him. I think we're probably going to have to accept a draw here, because as I say, Zarkic is a player that has never played for us. He was our next best choice. That's the thing when you don't bring in a fantastic backup goalkeeper. John Ruddy would have been perfect for this, but, you know, we'll have to lick our wounds and get on with it, won't we? But a defeat to start our season off wouldn't be as the phrase goes, wouldn't be all that ideal, would it? But I don't know what the possession stats are like at the moment. I haven't actually checked, but it seems to be all West Ham the first 25 minutes. I hope we're not getting second season syndrome with Wolves here. Felipe Anderson into the box, and we're 2-0 down, folks. Joel Campbell scoring on his debut for Wolves. That's a good signing, that is, for West Ham. But, you know, we're not really here to reminisce about how good they are. We're trying to get some points ourselves, and we've actually had the majority of possession here. 55% of possession. We're not going to go 3-0 down, are we? Whew. Zarkic gets the save. Thank goodness for that. Yeah, not the best start at all. Not a great planned start. Zarkic with the ball out. Can we get our first goal of the year? Raul Jimenez into the box. He's not going to do anything hasty here, is he? Puts it in for Ruben Neves, who gets a cracking shot off the edge of the box. He gets one back. That's more like it. Let's scrub off the fact we conceded two. Let's go and score another one before half-time, and then we can reset at 0-0. But nice hold-up play there from Raul Jimenez. Just trying to find the right man. I am amazed that Ruben Neves got through that wall without hitting anyone through it. But a good strike from Neves, and he gets our first goal of the season. Let's see then if we can get a second. Two in quick succession would be fantastic. Daniel Podence then shoots. Too easy really for Lucas Fabianski, but good to see we're getting up the pitch. We've got a higher XG than West Ham, and based on that, it's only a matter of time before we get another chance. Connor Cody gets the header away. Not quite far enough though. Zucek gets it back for West Ham. Vavro all the way back to Fabianski. Good to see Raul Jimenez putting some good pressure on, and we've got the ball back. There's our new signing, Ward-Prowse, on the ball. Good pass over to Podence, although we're sitting back a bit too much here. I want to see a bit more from our players. Good ball from Ward-Prowse to Adama Traore. Runs inside, shoots, and Fabianski gets it. We're making the chances, to be fair. We can't really be too disappointed with that, but we're not taking them, so that's the only disappointing thing. But I think it's only a matter of time. I am going to tell my players I'm not happy with that. I want to see a much better display in the second half. But, you know, sometimes clubs just figure you out, don't they? That might be something we have to live with this year. We did overachieve a little bit last year, and if we do get figured out a bit, then we get figured out a bit. But for any club, a defeat at the start of the season isn't really the way you want to go. Max Kilman gets his first goal of the season. We've gone from 2-0 down to 2-2. We always knew we were best on the attacking front, not necessarily at the back. Although, to be fair, we were pretty good at the back last year. We did have 7 clean sheets in a row at one point, and that's a nice shot from Max Kilman. Ruben Neves now with an assist and a finish. It was a tight offside, apparently, but if they've given the goal, I couldn't give a monkeys if it was 6 foot offside, to be honest. But this would be a comeback if we can go 3-2. It seems we've finally turned the plugs on, the electric sockets on, and we've got into it here because Raul Jimenez has scored his first goal of the season. 5 goals in 60 minutes. West Ham scored 2 in the space of 30. We've now scored 3 in the space of 30. A bit of a worry it's took us a while to wake up. But the only stat that matters at the end of this game is who got the 3 points and who got the most goals. So a cracking header there from Raul Jimenez. 2 assists now from Ruben Neves. What a start to the season he's had. Hopefully, this lead isn't diminished quickly. We've only had the lead for a few minutes. We don't want to lose it. But if we can double that lead, I'd take that every day of the week. Jimenez into Traore. Back out to Daniel Podence. I thought it had beaten Lucas Fabianski there. I really did. But the second half certainly going a lot better than the first. There's no doubt about that. Johnny Otto beaten off the ball far too easily. And hopefully this isn't a goal. But we know who's to blame if it is. And Felipe Anderson scores. But I think that one's going to be offside. I think that one's going to be ruled out. VAR is going to have a look at this. It might not even be VAR. I think the referee's just going to give this. Oh no, VAR is talking to John Moss. And yeah, the goal's offside. It doesn't stand. Fairly obvious one there. He was offside. Let's have a quick check though, just to humour ourselves. You can see that, yeah, he's quite a way offside. I mean, Johnny wasn't playing him offside. Thank goodness for that, or else that would have been double jeopardy for Johnny Otto. But I'm not too impressed with how he's played so far. His first game back from injury. And we might have to give up a bit of that bitterness and maybe play Ruben Vinagre in his place. Time for some subs then. I think just the one. Adama Traore is quite tired, although we've not really got anyone on that wing particularly, which is a little bit of a worry. Because Pedro Neto's out. So I think it might be time for Neves to come off, and you might be going, what on earth are you doing that for? But I do think so. I think we're going to bring Connor Cody in instead of Neves. I don't think that Morgan Gibbs-White's going to be a very effective defensive midfielder. I mean, the only problem with that substitution is bringing Jack Watmore on is that we have a fairly young defence now and quite a fragile defence. But Max Kilman's had a good game, 7.1. He scored the goal. And hopefully we don't live to regret that decision. Let's see though. Into the box of West Ham and it's just over the bar. I mean, you could argue we conceded 2 with Connor Cody at the back. So, you know, if we do concede here, then there's not really much to blame, I don't think. Max Meyer's a bit complacent, so we're going to bring Meriton Shabani on for a 15-minute run out. And it seems Daniel Podence is absolutely knackered. So we're going to bring Vinagre on as a inside forward in the attacking midfield. Although he's a left back, he can play anywhere across that left-hand side. And this looks like, I don't want to jinx anything, but it could be okay. If we can double the lead, it might just be over. Ruben Vinagre denied by the woodwork for a 4th there. But this is really positive stuff. I'm happy with this. We didn't start very well. But we've been the far better team. I mean, I'm going to jinx this now, and West Ham are going to sneak an equaliser, aren't they? But a good save from Zarkic. I think he was a player who maybe took 20-25 minutes to get into this in front of the West Ham fans. But he's doing well at the moment. You watch him make a howler at the end of the game just to go against what I've said. Right, 4 minutes to go here. This is worrying me, the fact we've got a highlight. If we make it 4-2, I'm happy. If Johnny Otto has a throw-in like that, I'm not so sure. But we'll recover anyway. Into Vinagre. Vinagre's had 2 good shots now. And Vinagre, based off this game, could become a bit of a tempting left winger. Certainly as a second choice for Podence out there. Obviously, Pedro Neto's second choice at right winger. I mean, there were clubs that were asking for him on loan. You know, Pedro Neto's not that type of player. He's a first-team player. Lovely ball from Ward-Prowse. He's been shown some great signs today. We know he's a good player, but I tell you what, Ruben Vinagre could have had a hat-trick. He really could, a bit like Diego Jota in his first game for Liverpool. I know that Diego Jota is a bit like a swear word around the Wolves parts now, but 95 minutes in, and we win. It wasn't the way we really wanted to win because we needed 3 goals, but we deserved it in the end. Good comeback. I'm just hoping it isn't that hard for all of the matches. I'm happy with that. We're going to send our assistant to the team talk, not the team talk, the press conference, because I'll be honest, I'm getting a little bit sick of these press conferences so early. They're getting a bit boring, and yeah, I didn't mind press conferences before, but they're a bit clunky now, I think. I don't think the change they've made has been too great. So, well, Daniel Podence is unhappy because apparently he wants to go to Porto, but why would you want to go there if you can stay at the Wolves? I mean, I guess he is Portuguese. That might have something to do with it. But we play against Chelsea next. That's going to be a tough one. We know we're fairly fragile at the back. But we scored 3 against West Ham. And we were only a few points behind Chelsea last year. Feel like this is quite a big game to show where we are this year. Let's go and see it. Well, we're only 2 weeks in. And we've already got some real Premier League surprise to whet your appetites. And hopefully we can provide another one today. The first game of the weekend. Palace beat Tottenham 2-1. Tottenham have got a win so far, but looking to be continuing their fairly poor form. Burnley beat Man United 2-1. And remember, Man United, the retaining title holders, of course. They drew against Aston Villa on their first day of the season, so not a good start for them. You have to say, this result's a bit of a shock. Newcastle beat Everton 4-0. But apart from that, that's about it for the moment. But some interesting results there. Bournemouth holding West Brom to a draw. Wouldn't it be great if we can go and get a victory against Chelsea? Only one change in this side, would you believe it? I think that there's some mysterious wonders at work here. James Ward-Prowse got a bruised jaw, so he's out between 3 and 7 days. What that prevents him playing with his foot, I don't really know. But we've had to put João Moutinho back in. I feel like Moutinho heard that he's not going to be playing, and he'll be going, oh, well, I'm going to give him a good punch and do what I can to his jaw, clearly. But that's a bit disappointing. Only one game in for Ward-Prowse. Hopefully he doesn't become the classic signing, because we've only made one. Doesn't become the classic signing that gets injured all the time. The injury-prone signing. We don't want that. Going into this game, completely open-minded. Let's see what happens. We could get about... And I'm thinking that's probably going to happen here, you know. We could get 6 stuck past us here against Chelsea. Again, we've gone for our attacking formation. Yeah, it could be a worry, this, but... You know, we started the last game pretty poorly. We've actually made 2 changes, to be fair. Vinagra's coming for Johnny, because you could tell I wasn't best pleased with Johnny in the last match. But this could be a counter-attack. Adama Traore runs through. In fact, he runs through everyone. Nice pass to Raul Jimenez. Gets the shot off and a good save from Edouard Mendy. But we're going to go for an attacking philosophy. I feel like that worked in the West Ham match. And we're at home. We've got the home crowd. We've had the most possession. We've had the most shots so far, although we're very early on here. So why not? Let's go for it. We might as well. There's no point us sitting behind the ball. That's a poor pass, that is, from Maxi Meyer, I have to say. But recovered nicely from João Moutinho, who's doing pretty well. Podence into Adama Traore. What's he going to do here? He's going to shoot straight from there. I'm not so sure about that. Should have really dinked it into Raul Jimenez, but clearly he thought better of it. But it's not been a bad start for us here, you know. 6 shots. You can see on the XG count that we're 0.77. Chelsea only 0.05, so a very bleak start for them. But that could all change with an attack. All it's been is Chelsea attack so far. This could be a goal, but no, we clear it again. Doing quite well here. Can we get another counter-attack on? Kante. This is going to be a Chelsea goal, isn't it? I just know it. Kante. Not enough pressure applied there. Vinagra. But to be fair, you know, he gets it. James. Pulisic. This has got to be a Chelsea goal. He's shooting a cracking save there from Zarcic. Wow. He had a terrible first 20 minutes for the club, and now he's playing really well. Everything he gets to, he seems to get a hand on. So, fair play to him. Seems Chelsea are starting to dominate things a little bit now. But let's see what happens in this highlight. 36 minutes in, Zarcic gets the ball out. We're going to keep it. Yes, we are. Lovely ball to Adama Traore. Don't shoot this time. Ictor Maxi Meyer. Denied just by the goalkeeper. That is very much a story of the goalkeeper so far, isn't it? But to be honest, I think that was probably going just wide from Maxi. But that, I thought that might have been a bit of a highlight there. We're going to shut up shop a little bit in these last 5 minutes. I don't want to go in 1-0 behind. Would be great to go in 1-0 up, but I would take a point here. I thought at the start of the episode, I thought, you know, 4 points off the first 2 games. That would be a very solid start. So I think we've been the best team. I completely agree wholeheartedly with that. Could all change. Our XG's been 1.33. We'd suggest it's been a pretty good goalkeeper performance from Edouard Mendy. He certainly has been, with a rating of 7.2. But can Chelsea capitalise? We've not made the most of our chances, clearly. Can Chelsea do so? Vinagra clears it. I thought that might have been a penalty then, but we're okay. But are we going to get away with it or not? A poor pass from the Chelsea midfielder. I'll tell you what, a cracking return there from N'Golo Kante. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a goal today, but, well, it still doesn't. Memphis Depay signed for Chelsea. That's interesting. It's one of those games where it doesn't seem like there's going to be a goal. João Moutinho. That's a worry. Go on, Semedo. Nice. Thought that could have been a bad counter-attack for Chelsea then. It still could be. Semedo. Adama Traore out wide to Semedo. Semedo, come on, son. Find someone. Tomori's out to Mason Mount. This could now be the counter-attack for Chelsea. It seems like it's too good to be true to be a 0-0 draw. Timo Werner beats the defence, and that's a disappointing one to concede. It really is. I'm going to be harsh to my lads. I'm going to berate them. I know that sounds really harsh, but we've got to be ambitious this year. We've got to go for it. You know, we've had 10 shots, only 3 of them on target. That is a bit disappointing. I'm going to go more attacking here. I'm going to bring Maxi Meyer off, who's not really done much in the 2 games he's played. And we're going to play the youngster. We're going to bring Leandro, I was going to say Dendoncker. Is it Leonardo, sorry. Leonardo Campana. We'll just call him Leonardo DiCaprio, why not? But we'll have him on as a deep line forward, see what he does there. I'm interested to see what happens. We might well just concede more and more against Chelsea here, but you know, I have to say I'm not really bothered. I'm going to go in no-nonsense fullbacks with the two fullbacks as suggested, just to give the attacking players a bit more freedom to make sure that they've got it covered at the back. But this could be 2-0 here. Denied just by the post was Memphis Depay. I feel we've been a bit unlucky here. We've certainly proved our attacking credentials. Who's injured? No one. Why on earth is it said to do that? I've got absolutely no idea. Maybe we've pressed something, but nobody injured there, so worry not. We're going to have to do something if we're going to get a point out of this game. Not really happening, is it? The fact we've got a lack of depth on the wings is a problem, in my opinion. Let's just hope Pedro Neto and Pacheco come back quickly. Going to have to change one of these wingers. I mean, we can't, can we? We just can't. No. Guess we bring Morgan Gibbs-White on for Jay Moutinho, see what he can do. And we'll also put Vinagre, why not, in Podence's place, and then put Johnny in the defence. As I said, there's not much we can do. Just hope for the best. Try and get a goal before the end of the match. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I guess, to lose 1-0 against Chelsea, but it would have been a great start to get a point against these guys, but you can't win them all. You can't win them all, ultimately, and Chelsea might be a much better side this year. They've had a year for that squad to gel. They've put a lot of new players in, of course, at the start of the first season. Good tackle from Morgan Gibbs-White there. That's encouraging. A cracking ball out to Raul Jimenez. What can we do here? Ruben Neves. Cracking ball. Campana doesn't really get that convincingly enough. Should have done a bit more to run onto that. Feels like he was worrying about being offside, or else surely you'd have gone for that. Kingsley Coman has signed for them, so some cracking signings. Kai Havertz, a great save from Zarkic, but Cody tripped Timo Werner. I didn't see that. Hopefully it wasn't a nasty tackle. It was just a brush on the edge of the box, clearly. This could be 2-0 though here. Who's taking this? Is it Reece James? It is. It's Reece James taking the free kick. Good deflection. I have to say that our defensive work's been pretty good so far. You can't argue. But what's Connor Cody doing? You know, he should have a yellow card there. I really don't blame him. He's been foolish there to give away another foul. It doesn't make any sense to me. We're going to go very direct. Get the ball over the opposition defence. Go higher. You know, there's no risk. There really is no risk to this. We might concede another one, but ultimately we might just get an equaliser. It's been a tight match. Oof, Campana very much nearly gets a debut goal for the Wolves. I don't think he's played for Wolves in the past. A player that signed a few years ago. That's a howler though from us. This could be 2-0. And as I said, you know, the worst that could happen is that we concede another one. And that's the way it's gone. A win and a defeat to start our new season. I think last year we'd have took that. So we'll take it again. But it's not all over yet, I suppose. If we can get a goal here, then we could very much get it back. But if we concede here, it could just be start to get a bit embarrassing. But, you know, that's the way it goes. If you start to go attacking, you get more expansive and you potentially let the team in. But we've not played too badly. Encouraging to see. Just need to get the morale up in the team because there's a few too many players having gripes over their contract, which is a bit worrying. But not a lot we can do about that because, you know, the players actually won't go to sign the contracts now. They're unhappy at the club, so we can't even offer them a contract if we try. But this looks like it could be 3-0. It is. You know, Timo Werner gets a hat-trick. It's disappointing to lose 3-0 here when we've clearly not played too badly. But, you know, it'll come. Chelsea have played well, 2.4 in terms of the XG. I mean, if they score a fourth here, that's crazy. But a good save from Zarkic. That is frustrating. It really is. You know, we should have scored at least one today. Really should have scored at least one. Might not be all over though yet. Not that I accept the game's all over yet. That's a nasty challenge from Kingsley Coman. Does he get a yellow card for that? Surely he did. You watch, he probably didn't. But that is the end of the game. Very disappointing in the end. I think that losing 1-0 would have been okay. But we went for it, crucially. We went for it. A good performance from Zarkic there. Good stuff. Timo Werner gets the plaudits for getting the hat-trick. No surprise. I'm going to say we're far from pleased with that result. I'm not too displeased, but you know, you've got to show your players a bit of ambition ultimately, and not the best start for us, but you know, 3 points out of 2. What? Too harsh, really? Ugh. Get on with it. We're obviously having an authoritarian effect, and the players are starting to get wound up, but I don't think we are. I just think that the players are being too moany at this point, and not the best way to really go if you're starting the season. But that's going to be the first episode. We're going to come back, as I said, around about here. It hasn't been drawn yet, so I don't know when it's going to happen, the first Europa League match. But it's usually between the Crystal Palace and Arsenal match. As I said, we'll probably come back for that first Europa League group match and then the Arsenal match for the second one in the episode. Ideally, I'd love to take 9 points against Leeds, West Brom and Crystal Palace, but looking at it, I think we've got to get at least 3 at home against West Brom. I think I'd probably take 5 points out of those fixtures. What would that be? 8 points from our first 5 games. Not a disaster. Not a disaster in the world. As long as we can get 1 victory out of those 3, that's okay as a start to the season. Ultimately, as you saw last year, it seems to be the mid part of the season where we start to do well. But if you've enjoyed that, the return of the FM21 beta side, the second and final season with Wolverhampton Wanderers, make sure you leave a like down below. Comment your thoughts as well down below and subscribe for regular, in fact daily, not just regular. Is daily regular? Yeah, probably is, but we have to shove the daily in there somewhere. Subscribe for daily Football Manager 2021 beta content, and until the next one, which will come out tomorrow of course, at 4 PM, as they have done every day so far, make sure to subscribe, turn your notifications on, and you can watch the video at 4:00:01 as soon as it goes out. I don't quite think YouTube brings it out directly on time, but if you refresh after a second, you can watch it then, but I'll forgive you if you leave it till 4:01. But anyway, thank you for watching. I've been TIJ Gaming, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now.